Hey guys, just have some brand new Saw Legacy news for you guys. Honestly, okay, I know this is a bit late. This stuff kind of posts when I'm either at school or sleeping, or yada yada yada. I don't necessarily always get to see this stuff as soon as it leaks or as soon as it actually gets exclusives on some other site. Like I always tell you guys, please make sure to go check out Bloody Disgusting or other reputable horror movie sites. They always have the news up first. So if you don't want to wait to see any new news from me or anything else, then go to them and also come back to me if you want to hear my opinions and thoughts on that. That's awesome. I have to give a huge shout out to, oh man, I'm sorry if it escapes me. I think it was Joseph Schreiner. He is the one who actually put me onto this. I'm really very, very thankful that he actually put me onto it this early so I could actually do this video for you guys right now. Now, obviously, this isn't stuff that's incredibly new. It's not something that we actually thought wasn't actually going to be the case. We're getting very little information here, but let's talk about it a little bit. But just before we start talking about it, I'll read it to you guys. So it says that Bloody Disgusting has learned that Saw Legacy will begin with bodies turning up around the city, each having met a uniquely gruesome demise. As the investigation proceeds, evidence points to one man, John Kramer. But how could this be? The man known as Jigsaw has been dead for over a decade. Or has an apprentice picked up the mantle of Jigsaw? Perhaps even someone inside the investigation? So this isn't necessarily something that's incredibly surprising. A lot of people have kind of already pointed to the fact that they necessarily can't pick up immediately after where Saw 7 or Saw 3D, Saw the Final Chapter, whatever you want to call it, picked up or left off because it's just been too long. Giving a decade time skip is something that's probably the best thing they could possibly do. Kind of distance itself a little bit while it's still connected tangibly to the last 7 films. This can be its own separate individual thing. Now, I'm just going to say that, as we've already heard, little leaks here and there kind of indicate that it might be John Cor's Ryan character, the guy from the Saw table trap from Saw 3D. Apparently he's coming back. That hasn't necessarily been announced yet. It's just a rumor at this point, kind of a strong rumor that that's exactly what's going to happen, because this story also tells us that, yes, Tobin Bell is exactly coming back. I know a lot of people have been talking about that. We necessarily haven't gotten a huge... I guess we haven't necessarily talked about that being any more of a legitimate possibility than it's just a rumor or everyone's just expecting it to happen. This story also says that Costas Mandylor and Carrie Ollis are not returning, which is also not a huge surprise. I've talked about it several times on my channel just because, I don't necessarily think they were coming back. Maybe if this film does well, maybe if this film does particularly well, we could actually start having other people show up for any future sequels. Costas Mandylor, Carrie Ollis, Shawnee Smith, any of the other people who played significant roles in the previous films. I don't necessarily see that happening. I think the one thing they're going to try to do with this film, and I really hope they try to do with this film, is acknowledge the previous films, acknowledge the continuity to somewhat degree, and then just kind of pick up and move on. And, one of the things I really like about this, and the fact that they're, they have this major time skip, they have kind of a new investigation team. They realize that, Jigsaw was a thing, but it's been so long, there's not really necessarily someone who should be doing any of this stuff, but maybe somehow he's still connected or tangibly involved. I actually really like that, because one of the things that really just kind of starts to weigh down these franchises, these long-running horror franchises, is the fact that they get really aggressively silly as they go on. You can only do so much so long and before it gets, it's just repetitive and all this other stuff. Now, Saw is actually a little bit different than that. Saw and other things like Final Destination, although Final Destination is it also fell into that really silly, serious role. Honestly, it just took itself too seriously, took itself too comedically in some points, until the 5th film, which was also really awesome. But I'm getting off topic. I feel like Saw actually can't go, the supernatural route. It can't go, at this point, it's sounding like maybe this guy is, whether he's an apprentice or whether he's a copycat killer, it still can go copycat killer, but they can't go supernatural. If they do go supernatural, I'm sure me and everyone else is going to be super mad. I mean, that's not even worth talking about. I don't necessarily think they're going to go there, but, with very little information, we just never really know. So I feel like what we're going to do is they're going to have some kind of copycat killer, some kind of a long lost distant apprentice, somebody. I'm not thinking it's going to be, and I really hope it's not going to be, oh, my son or my long lost brother or something. That's a little too convoluted, a little too ridiculous for even something as ridiculous as the Saw franchise. So I mean, what are your thoughts on this, guys? Do y'all think that this is... I mean, like I said, it doesn't really add much. It's exciting news. Like I always say, it's always really exciting news to have Lionsgate and them just like basically drop any new information that we could possibly see from what this movie is going to entail. We actually haven't necessarily seen an official still. We've gotten just a bit, like I think like maybe 3 official cast members. Mandeville Van Petels, sorry if I'm getting that name wrong, like I said in my original video. We got Hannah Anderson and then Laura Vandervoort. We also have Brittany Allen Cullum, Keith Rennie, Matt Passmore, Hannah I'm butchering these names, guys. Hannah Emily Anderson, Jonas Black, and yada yada yada. I'll link the story so y'all can see. None of those names sound familiar to me. I'll look them up and talk about if any one of them sounds familiar, or maybe even just excitement for any of them. Of course, like I've done in the past, I've talked about in the past, the Stolberg, Josh Stolberg and Peter Goldfinger are the ones writing it. Now those guys are behind Piranha 3D, Piranha Double D, and Sorority Row. But what they've done in the past is, Piranha 3D was a critically acclaimed film. So, I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see, honestly. There's no real determining whether or not it's going to be good or not based on who the writer is or who the directors are. But like I said in the past, you have the directors of this movie, Michael and Peter Spierig, the 2 brothers who made Daybreakers and Predestination, are two of the, like, I guess, visually most complex, entertaining people in these small budget horror genres. And if you haven't seen those yet, I bet it's more likely that y'all have seen Daybreakers, but if you haven't seen Predestination yet, please make sure to go see Predestination. That's a really awesome film. It's definitely worth the watch, just because of, if you want to get an idea of probably the artistic style and direction that they're going to be going with this film, that movie is probably one of the best things that you could watch. Very Saw-centric, very Saw feel, very much a very well crafted thriller, small, intimate in its own right. And if they take that same mentality into this film, just with a bigger budget, it's going to be pretty awesome. Like I've said in the past, I know a lot of you have really thought yourself, is I really hope and just pray that they actually go a little bit back to basics and allow this to be somewhat of a smaller film, somewhat of a more mature, back to basics, not anything really huge. The traps don't have to be huge. They could be kind of more centric on characters instead of thrills or gore or anything like that. Like I said, those guys, the Spierig brothers, probably the best people we could have asked for as a fan base in order to actually direct this movie. So hopefully I'm not overhyping it or anything. Hopefully it just turns out as best as it could actually be. Like I said, this isn't necessarily the biggest news ever. Obviously, we do know that John Kramer is going to be back. We've known that for a while. At least we speculated it on a lot of it. We knew there was going to be a significant time skip just because of how long it's actually been, not only since we last saw an official film. It's been 7 years, but also in the official continuity, it has been about a decade, because if you remember, we had significant time skips between 1 and 2 and 2 and 3, but then afterwards it was just a matter of weeks or months. So maybe like a year and a half at most actually went by during the last 4 films. So we do needed a significant time skip. We did, and so obviously this is picking up around 2017, I would say. Like 2017, 2016 is going to be the year in which this actually is taking place. So we're going to have to wait and just see exactly how that pans out. I'm not necessarily saying one way or the other. And then, Costas Mandylor, Carriolis not coming back. That was pretty much going to happen regardless. I know a lot of people are going to be annoyed with that, but I feel like this is a good way for them to basically, just kind of sweep everything that just didn't work about the last film under the rug and try to start anew, try to, actually make something a little bit more complex and a little less convoluted, while also acknowledging all the convoluted, complex stuff that us fans actually really liked throughout the series. So it's just really all up in the air. Guys, tell me what y'all think about this. Has any of this surprised you? Are you excited about any of this? Are you excited about the time skip? Are you mad that Costas Mandylor and Carriolis aren't coming back? Are you excited to see Tobin Bell come back? In any any more information or any more theories you have about the new apprentice, as it were. So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Please make sure to share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Share this out to all your friends and tell me if you're excited about the movie. And subscribe if you want to see more movie discussions, topics, or anything that is Saw related, and then other, horror movie stuff as I kind of branch out here. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.